Tonight is New Year's Eve, and it's time for our annual end-of-year retrospective. So we're going to cover that and more on this episode of the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Our broadcast astromech today is EPC 365. And playing alongside me is Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
Hey, Max. Going well. I always love the holidays. You guys know I stress out leading up to the holidays, but then I always enjoy the holidays. And they're not over yet. We're still having a holiday today,
Yes.
New Year's. So yeah, things have been going great. And we did have snow, but then we had like 24 hours of rain, and that got rid of all the snow. So we did not have a white Christmas. We had a white day before Christmas, white Christmas Eve. So there's that.
Nice.
So how about you, Max? How are things going?
Also, yeah. So this has just been holiday time. A bunch of stuff with the fam. Bunch of movies that we watched. Bunch of little bit of time in actually lots of games. I finished up like Cyberpunk. That kind of thing.
You finished up Cyberpunk?
Well, I finished up the main story. And the main story was fine and good. I was running it on PC. It ran fine for me. But there's a whole bunch of like little side stories I haven't done, and I may go back and do. But yeah, I finished it, and that's the first single player game I've finished in a long, long time. But I was also doing some Conquest. We didn't run our regular ops night, but been keeping an eye on some of the Star Wars stuff regardless. I know we got a bunch of stuff going on here. Some chatter about what we might be doing in 2021. That's always fun too. And some guild stuff has been going on, and we'll even mention that in our guild news. So it has been fun getting ready to kick off the year too. It's New Year's. I like that New Year's Eve is on a Thursday, because then it's still a little bit of downtime to come out of it. Like it's not like New Year's Eve, New Year's Day is on the 1st, and then the 2nd is a Tuesday, and you got to go right back to work.
Yeah.
So now we'll have the weekend. We can decompress, and
you'll get over your huge hangover.
Cheers. With that, we can talk about the news.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
There was news this past week. Not a ton, so we'll sort of leave the usual big ambush of bug tracker items. Was a little bit less this week, but there was a couple things in there. So outside of just the basic bugs, what else did we have, Seema?
So I guess one of the bigger ones was the Spoils of War achievement fix, which was meant to fix the problem of when you bought gear from Kaizyken or other vendors, it didn't count against the achievement for acquiring that gear. But there's some follow-on stuff with that. So if you have any problem with it, it looks funny, or it's not granting you the right achievement or level of achievement, just take the gear, mail it to one of your other characters, and that should pop it up.
Yep. Take the gear, leave the gun, take the cannoli, mail it to your character, and it should work. That was the thing that, if you remember the costume show when we had Thon on, which we'll mention when we get to it, that was one of the key problems that the people that were collecting all the armor sets were having, is just not getting the achievement. Now, there's a couple other things in that thread. I don't know if there's other related bugs, like with how it displays, but mainly just getting that achievement checked off. This is the way to work around it, which is nice. Another workaround that they've added more details on is the quick play. That's popped up a couple times. The Natha did post more detailed, specific workaround for how to get around it for right now without re-downloading the whole game. You could be running it off of Steam. I think that's a good way to work around it. But here's a specific quick play fix in the dev tracker. It's posted in a couple places. It shows up twice in the dev tracker. If you're running into that quick play issue, it's a nice, very specific, detailed set of 4-step instructions to get you past it, which is nice. Thank you, Natha.
And then also, the Wookiee Hug achievement has been in the news lately. So last year there was an achievement to hug 1,000 Wookiees, and this year there's an achievement to hug 1,500 Wookiees, but it's not just an additional 500, it's it's an additional 1,500. So they're two discrete achievements, essentially. Um, so yeah,
Yeah. So
that's how it works.
Jackie posted in the thread, "Hey, this is working as intended. That's what they meant to do. They were going to add a new one." But they probably looked at it and said, "We thought like 1,000 was enough to last people going through this for a couple of years, but it wasn't. People just did it and knocked it out in a few days, and that was that." So now it's 1,500. It's so chat room. So Cybercat Dan is saying in there 2,500 Wookiees. It's 2,500 if you did 1,000 last year. If you're starting fresh this year, it's 1,500 and you'll get both achievements. So they do count at the same time. It's just if you did
Oh
it.
my God. I did not realize that.
Yeah, yeah.
So so the people who oh my gosh.
Well, that's what people are a little bit mad about
I don't
is
wanna say this sentence.
if if
The
people.
people who did it last year are getting penalized. I didn't realize that.
Well, yes and no. I I don't know. I don't know. No, I don't know
Well,
that
I mean, they got to hug a 1,000 extra Wookiees, so that's their reward. Is that what you mean?
kind of. Kind of, I don't know. You could just, first of all, it's just a title. It's not like you're getting like a free year of subscription or something. It's just a title for one. For two, it's you don't do it this year then. Don't do it this year, and next year when they add 2,000, or wait 5 years, and when it's up to 5,000, then you can do it all at once. There you go. Uh I don't know. Maybe a lot, a
That's
lot
what
of
I'm
people
gonna
are
do.
still
I'm gonna
angry.
wait. I'm gonna wait till it's 5,000
Well,
and then
I
do them
did.
all at
I
once.
waited last year. I did 300 last year. I didn't do 1,000. And so if I go up to 1,000 this year, I'll be 700 for one and 1,000 for the other. And that's I would expect these I mean, we got to have achievements out there that like take years to do.
Well, that's what for me, that's what I thought the 1,000 Wookiee hugs was going to be. I was gonna do that over 2 or 3 years.
But it only impacts the people that are the overachievers that did it all at once.
Yeah. Right.
And I
Right.
guess okay, but if you did 1,000 in a couple days last year, so do another 1,000 and then add 500 more, and then you're all done. You're a master at doing it, so do it again. or it's maybe it's also valid concerns. I'm not gonna completely downplay it. If I had done 1,000, I probably wouldn't do it at all this year. And there is another update in the thread that, yes, Jackie posted and said, yeah, I hear you saying this. We'll pass that note along, and we'll see what happens as a result of that. So don't
Oh,
necessarily, you're not guaranteed that anything's going to change, but
yeah, I think they're between a rock and a hard place now. They would have a hard time changing it.
they would have to do work. And yeah, I mean, like it would be, it would be kind of problematic. Anyway, also, there was a thread which was kind of nice. Somebody posted and said, "Hey, the whole community and content creators and SWTOR community forums and community team. There was a whole bunch of stuff that was supposed to be going on, and a lot of it did sort of go on the back burner." Now, I don't fault anybody at BioWare for things sort of get shuffled around and put on the back burner this year. I don't fault anyone in any industry or any job
No.
for that.
Yeah.
This person was a little harsher than that, but not a lot. They're pretty reasonable. They did list out though, like a whole bunch of stuff that's going on, and they put us on the list, which was nice of them. We were a feature already, so that's sort of what they were talking about. And Jackie replied and said, yes, this is something that she did read through and she's keeping an eye on, and something she'll bring up, and probably is the kind of thing that she'll work with Dan on. It's not her job necessarily to run these things, and it's Dan has been pulled in 50 directions because of this COVID stuff too. So we'll give Jackie some time to get her role on the community stuff in order. Give BioWare some time to spin back up what they are intending to do, and hopefully we'll see a reset of strategy for 2021.
And on the subject of BioWare people posting, we had many ninth anniversary posts from people at BioWare that we have never seen on the forums before. And it was just basically people saying um, that they're thankful for SWTOR and for working for BioWare and pointing out the things that they love about it and us and how it helped them get through 2020. And it's a fun read. I recommend.
Yeah, it was really good stuff, and it's great to see those additional voices that we either haven't heard from directly before on the forums or just more. I also, we see uh, Mike Bradley post on PvP. We've just seen tons more people than we've ever seen in the past year posting on the forums from BioWare. The names that popped up just on this particular topic. So Jackie posted, Natha posted. So it was nice to hear sort of Natha in her own voice and not just
Directly, yeah.
the.
Community
I mean,
team.
it was still under the community team name, but then she signed her name at the bottom, which was really cool. Chris Schmidt did one. Eric did one. Caitlyn Sullivan. So Caitlyn Sullivan is a writer, and she did some of the writing around the Ultimate Swoop Rally. Ashley Rule posted, and Ashley Rule does some of the cutscene cinematic cut type work. So this is great. This is great to hear from Ashley. Great to hear from Caitlyn. And then the last to post to sort of wrap it up was Keith. So it's great to hear from Keith as well. Keith continuing to tease major plans for 10th year, 10th anniversary. Almost can't wait to start telling you what's up. He's definitely probably crossing the line. There's probably PR people that are like trying to reel him back in or keep him on the leash. Really cool underlying changes along with. So this is I'm decomposing this. I'm taking it apart. So this is what Keith said. I have a ton of memories, and this year is no different. Almost a full decade, and so much has changed, but a lot hasn't. No, I'm not talking about the bug you reported 5 years ago. Hood toggle. that was me. We have some major plans for our 10th year. I almost can't wait to start. No, well, he can't wait because he's already telling us to start telling you what's up, when you'll get involved, along with some really cool underlying changes I think y'all will appreciate. He did say y'all. He teased this underlying changes. I feel like he teased that in the stream. I feel like there's both going to be content updates and some game system updates, and I think that's the kind of thing that I'm gonna irresponsibly speculate real hard on when we get to our prediction show next week. So
And
yeah, go
I
ahead.
just want to say one more thing about this thread is that we talked about all the BioWare people that posted, but a lot of just players posted how they feel about the game and when they started. And there's a lot of people who started back in 2011, and just reading what their thoughts are and what the game has meant to them. It's pretty heartfelt.
Yeah, and that's what the community should be,
Yeah,
So I think
yeah.
you were making that point earlier, Seema, and I completely agree. Be the change you want to see in the community. If you think there should be more positive posts or more positive talk in general chat on the fleet, be that post. Put your voice out there and be the change you want to see. I've always believed in that. I always, when somebody posts and asks a question in general chat, I don't tell them the answer is Alt F4. I actually try to answer their question. That kind of thing. If you want it to be different, you be the different. I think that's really cool. We did have a tiny bit of guild news coming up. Why don't you kick this off, Seema, and then I'll chime in a little bit because I am
So
also
in
involved.
January, we're calling it AIE Con. It's going to be an online adventure, but it's going to be something different we've never tried before. But it's going to be a couple of days of board games, casual online party games, D&D. We're going to have a guild town hall as part of it, and we're going to kick it off on Friday with a joint podcast between us and Working Class Nerds, and that's going to be on the 22nd. So we have a lot of work going on there. But yeah, we hope everyone will come and have fun.
Yeah, so online version of the kind of con stuff that goes on at gaming conventions, the side stuff. We are going to not focus on the games because we've already done like
Right.
streaming weekends and we have our MFNs and our megas, and this is board games and casual, like maybe it's going to be mostly Jackbox, but maybe some Among Us. It's going to be one or two board game masters who will be running online versions of actual physical board games, and then we've got 3 DMs already lined up, and we'll see if we need more. There's going to be a survey that's going to go out on Monday that will say, in general, what do you think you might sign up for? Because if everybody comes back and we see that there's 30 people that want to do D&D, well, then we'll get a couple more DMs, and we have some on hot standby. We have two additional, so we could go to 5. If we see that there's only like 12 people that want to do D&D, well, then we'll limit it to 2 sessions, and we'll build out a couple other things.
So the survey is going to be via Discord, right?
Yes, it will. It'll probably be a Google Form survey. I'll put it in the guild Discord. Maybe I'll even put it out there on Twitter and everything. This is going to be open to anybody that wants to show up. We're going to do both live versions of the board games and the D&D. We're going to do stream all of that as it goes on too, so people can just ride along and watch it and see how it goes. It's going to be Friday night, start off with a guild town hall. Then we're going to do our joint podcast. There might even be a game session going on in parallel. Some things might overlap. That's perfectly fine. Then we'll have a little bit of a closing event on Sunday, and all day Saturday is going to be a handful of different things. We might add a couple other things into the mix. We've got some people that are talking about maybe some interesting panels, like panel discussion, live stream kind of talks that are going on. You can imagine you go to those panel discussions at a gaming convention, might have a couple of those kinds of things going on. This is our first try. We've got a team of people that just in our spare time is trying to get this going. We'll see how it turns out. If we have a little bit of fun, great. If we have a lot of fun and we want to do it again sometime, who knows? Maybe we'll do it again. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. I also want to just throw in here, Mei Lung's Master Mode Flashpoint Friday group is going to be meeting on January 7th. So we've had a couple of weeks off from that. I just want everyone to know that's starting up again on January 7th.
Yeah, Mei Lung is an awesome guildie. So he's running that Flashpoint Friday thing, which definitely catch up with that. That will get you one or two of the air attack mounts, I think. There's definitely the Master Mode Flashpoint one that they've been going after, one of the air attack quests. Mei Lung also supports and runs 2 other events for other divisions in AI, which I think is really cool. He's already got on the calendar. I forgot what date it is, but later, I think sometime in the next 2 weeks, I think 2 weeks from tomorrow, there will be a Guild Wars dungeon night that he is hosting. And then Saturday nights, almost every Saturday night, he hosts a SNL, Saturday Night Lotro, because why wouldn't SNL mean that? That's what it means in my head. So that is really cool of him. That's the kind of thing we do across all of our game divisions in AIE. So come join, and thank you to Mei Lung for being an awesome person in general, and he also gets all the packages delivered to us on time, and has been working really hard this holiday season because he works for the U.S. Post Office.
Yes.
Shout out to the chat room. Bunch of people in there. We got about 20 people in there tonight. We'll see how we go. We'll see who makes it to midnight, or who already Zen is in there, calling in from calling in from Australia, who has already been living in 2021 for a long time now.
And Cybercat Dan is also in Australia.
And Cybercat Dan as well. It's a beautiful summer day down in Australia today. Not up here. You said it snowed for you, Seema. There is.
That's not what I said, but that's okay.
It snowed and it melted.
Yeah.
What you said.
It didn't melt. It got rained off.
Well, that's melting.
Okay. It wouldn't have melted though without the rain.
Oh, well, anyway, it snowed here. It partially melted and it froze. I have an inch and a half of ice all over my driveway because I didn't shovel before we started driving on it, and now it's terrible. So I wish mine would melt. Anyway, there's no snow in Australia. That was more my point. Little bit icy in the northern hemisphere. We will catch up with everyone in the chat room. We're going to keep the stream open. It is New Year's Eve. We're about 25 minutes from New Year's 2021 on the East Coast of the US. The podcast will still be going on as we're going through our retrospective, which we're going to start here in just a second. And then as soon as we wrap up the podcast, we're going to keep the stream open. We're going to include everyone. We're going to go into the public Discord and open it up to everyone and keep it going all the way through, at least through New Year's Central, and then see where we go from there. All right. A lot of things were happening this year, weren't they, Seema? Yes, they were.
A lot. Yes. We have a long list.
Do you love swooping? Don't answer. We know you do. If you love it so much, why are you still watching this?
That was just one of the many things that we got this year. And as always happens with this kind of retrospective, I and Seema, we go back through all of our notes and we put it all into a page. And we go January, February, all the way through December. It's a lot more than I expected. And there's just, we've got a ton of stuff in here. It's easy to get to the end of the year and forget all of the things that came just this year and are relatively new. Half of this stuff I feel like has been in the game for years now. Time flies. It's pretty interesting. So we've got.
That's why I have this Banshee companion out, because I think I got it this year, but who knows? Maybe it was 5 years ago.
It came in the game longer than that. That got in the game when we got the Umbara flashpoint. I think that's when it was added, but you didn't get it until this year, and I couldn't even tell you what I got this year versus what I didn't. I know. I'm trying to have all my fireworks ready to go. Here's my New Year's Eve fireworks. I know I got these a long time ago, but still my favorite fireworks. Also, just sort of a looking back and retrospective. This is episode 365. If you're new to the podcast, if this is your first one, we recommend you listen to one of our old episodes per day. It'll take you a year to get through them all. No, we don't recommend that. Don't do that. Do not.
No, we do not.
But man, 365 episodes. If there's ever another podcast, or Tom Merritt did this when he started his daily tech news show, he started counting from the number of episodes of podcasting he had done to date. So he started at like 900 or 1,000. I think that's what I'm gonna do. You and me, Seema, we get to start from here, which is completely justified. 365, 8 years. This is we're going into we're finishing up our 8th year right now. But we've got the 10th anniversary coming up. We're in it. We're in it to win it. So there you go. Let's turn back the clock. Let's look back to January. You want to kick us off for what we got last January, Seema? What was going on?
So there's a couple of big things in January of last year. One was the Alderaan Stronghold, and I say that in more ways than one because it is a really big stronghold. But it was also a big deal just because it's so beautiful. But then the other thing is, we did an episode, our spoiler episode on The Mandalorian season 1. Not that our episode was a big deal, but just The Mandalorian is a big deal. And finally doing a show on it was a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to when we do the same for season 2. Oh my God.
So that episode that we did on The Mandalorian, that was just after. So coming into January was just after the end of season 1. It finished up at the end of December, I think even like December 30th or something. And we didn't spoil the plot, but we went through all of the cast, everything, sort of how it was working and our general impressions.
Right.
We didn't spoil the plot until December,
I was going to say that
later.
Yeah, we were really
or
late
10
with our
months later.
spoiler.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that was, yeah, let's scroll down. Yeah, not until November. So in November, in the week before Mandalorian season 2 started, that's when we finally got around to spoiling it. It was that impactful for us. We didn't want to spoil it for anybody. So Aldron Stronghold, I got it. I unlocked it. As you can see here, I'm in it. I put a
It's
couple.
it's pretty panoramic. Look how big that is.
It is, yeah, this is just the front lawn. So
Yeah.
it is a huge place. I didn't really do much with it though. Have you done much in
No,
yours?
I didn't even buy it.
Oh, really?
No, I
Oh,
did not.
really?
I'm really attached to my Nar Shaddaa one, even though I never decorated it.
I like my Nar Shaddaa one. My main one though is my Yavin one, and that's the one I decorated 100%. Here, I'm going to come back to Max Shaw and meet you there. Yeah, so I put a couple. I think I used it as my main stronghold for a couple weeks. I put, as you could see, I don't know if you saw right behind me there was the the 3 cargo holds and the GTN at the bind point. That's what I require
Hmm.
in a good spot. But my Yavin one is just set up the best for that, and I still like going back to the Yavin one. And I like although I like the environment of Alderaan quite a bit.
I do too.
In each of these, we'll call out a couple of the shows that we did, not a lot, but I meant maybe we should make a list of these. There are some shows that you could potentially use as reference. In fact, we've had some new people joining the guild, and we say to them, hey, if you have any questions, you should let us know. And I looked through the list, and in the middle of the year, we did top 10 tips for returning players, and we did top 10 tips for new players. We should probably link those to some people. I don't know if they're useful, but they could people who are coming back could tell us. In January, though, episode 324, we did a whole episode on amplifiers. What we do with amplifiers, how we get amplifiers, how you re-roll amplifiers. If you want to hear about amplifiers, you could look back to episode 324. They haven't changed much since January, so it should be relatively relevant. We don't really do guides, but we talk through stuff in relative detail. So
Hmm.
you might get something out of it that you wouldn't even get out of a
Yeah,
regular
or you
guide.
might not.
And it's our view. So if you're interested in that,
Yeah.
if you're not, what are you listening out now for? but we certainly, just to reinforce, we certainly do not recommend going back and listening to many of our previous podcasts, but we'll call a couple out. All right, let's get to February. Rolling along now. We've been podcasting now. We're 28 minutes in, and now we're up to February. keep on cracking. We got 16 minutes until New Year's.
So when strongholds first came out, they were limited to 4. You could only have 4. So now, starting in February, you can have 15.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's like not having a max, right? Because there aren't exactly 15 available at the moment.
It's not, but you could have had many more than you could
Oh,
probably
that's
have
true.
had. More, and you probably do have more. You have duplicates of some.
I did, but I culled all my duplicates.
I did not. I think I have a couple duplicates in still. Yeah, so here's a max underscore 6462088 stronghold. Obviously, that is yeah, I've got a couple duplicates in here still. If you were on multiple servers before the server merged happened to the mega servers that we live on now, you could have had duplicates of strongholds, and that's how that might have happened. If you did have duplicates of strongholds and it put you over the 5 stronghold limit, you got to keep them. So you may have gone into this increase to 15 with already over 5. But if you didn't, what you would have to have done in the past is you would have had to deactivate a stronghold, then add the new stronghold that you wanted to mess around with. And then if you ever wanted to go back, you would have had to reactivate. There was always tips on how to do that. Opening up a stronghold, buying a stronghold with cartel coins, unlocking rooms with credits was the most advantageous, because if you ever had to deactivate and reactivate, if you paid cartel coins, it was free to reactivate. If you paid with credits to open it up to activate it, then you would have to repay those credits. Anyway, that's beside the point. That happened. What else? So I didn't realize this was way back in February. I got that first story beat. You went and looked at the story beat. What was your view of that story beat? It was good.
It is actually way more extensive than I remembered it.
Yeah.
What I did is I went and viewed it on YouTube, and just on YouTube it was 15 minutes of cutscenes.
The link that I gave you, I think it's only actually 10 minutes, because they tacked on the Shea Vizsla stuff at the end there.
Oh,
So I think it's 11 minutes. Still, this is the whole. Why is it not coming back up? Kira and Scourge, they get all. This is when they come to you and they say, "Hey, we're still trying to find Satele Shan. We can't find her." Scourge gets all angry and throws things around the room.
and does a Witcher impersonation.
Does he? Oh, he does.
Later on. There's because you get a dialogue opportunity to say, "Are you always this emotional?" to him, and then he goes.
Does he drop an F-bomb? do a good Witcher move. And Kira and Scourge are just, I don't know who decided to team them up and write them together, but it just works. It works so well. But then the other part, which I thought was interesting, besides this Kira and Scourge stuff, which does apply to something that we'll get to later, is then you talk to General Daroon. Oh wait, we have to pause here.
Daroon.
We have to listen to him.
All right?
This is
I
Darren DePaul.
apologize for the delay in our arrival. We happened across pirates attacking a refugee ship.
Oh, Darren, you are a treasure. But
Yeah.
Darren DePaul, who voices General Daroon, that cutscene goes on and continues with them, chatting about, stuff that's happening and pirates and Dantooine. And then who do we see in the cutscene, Seema? That's important.
You're talking about at the end, or not at the okay? Are you talking about
at the end of
Aaron?
Aaron.
Yeah, that is important because I had forgotten about that. But that's a scene on Dantooine where she senses that Malgus is nearby and that Malgus is coming, and it's just a time that it becomes meaningful, like almost right now.
Mm-hmm. Right. In fact, the very final scene of Echoes of Vengeance, the very final bit of the cutscene is Aaron walking up to Satele Shan and Satele Shan saying, "I bet you've got a story to tell," or something like that.
Yeah.
You're right. I did not remember that. Even when we went through that in the podcast, that Aaron was introduced in this cutscene. Aaron comes from the books. She's got a history. We talked about her history. I didn't realize
she comes
that she
from
was in the story.
Yeah, she's in the Malgus book.
Yeah. So to me, that doubles down on the Telegraph that the next bit of story that's coming up, because they teased it in the February beat, and then they reinforced it as the closing commentary of the Echoes of Vengeance. The next story is Malgus. I think that's perfect. Well, okay. Maybe there's couple stories, because yes, there's
because there's the final the final cutscene after the Spirit of Vengeance flashpoint. I mean, I don't disagree with you. It might not be the next story though. I mean, because there's also going to be this Mandalorian story going on.
Right. And so maybe that's perfectly
fine. They'll be interwoven.
And that's always good when they're all interwoven. And Schrodinger's galaxy. I gotta sit Charles down, and I gotta. I'm gonna help him stitch it all back together. We're gonna meld. We're gonna collapse all of the many worlds. We're gonna get out of this Schrodinger's galaxy and get everything back together. We're gonna bring the band back together. Also, just okay. We're still in February. I'm gonna move this along. Back in February, Eric announced that he was going to be taking some time off. If you remember that, because
I do.
Baby
because
Musco.
A special project. Yeah, Baby Musco.
Baby Musco is on the way. And then I noticed later on in the year, there's a note here that Eric came back. So he did go out. He did come back, and Baby Musco joined us as well. Also, then in February, just to wrap it up, Natha. That's when Natha joined. So that was back in February. So Natha's been with us for most of the year now. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, bring us into March, Seema.
In March, we had Master Mode Duxon on the PTS as well as 6.1.1. Actually, throughout the year, we kind of did several things on the PTS. This has kind of been the year of the PTS.
Yeah, so you'll hear as we go through the notes, we'll say, oh, it's on the PTS, and then the next month or the month after, this is when it released. But yeah, so that was on the PTS in March.
Zen says Musco's growing up right in front of our eyes, and it's so
Yes.
true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
Oh, he used to be this little teenager that just,
Our little
got his first real
little
job.
our little podcast streamer, and then now he's like leading a team, and he's a father, and he's gonna be retiring, and we're still gonna be podcasting.
Also in March is when we had a podcast episode with Thon where we talked about how to make 1 billion credits, which I thought was really fun, fascinating. I would do that like every 3 or 4 months because it's always going to be different, I think.
Right. And that one is probably one of the ones that you could go back and get some value out of. That's probably of the year our most listened to podcast. So it's 331. Yeah, I think if I looked at the YouTube stats, yeah, that's the most views. We don't get a ton of views because we put this out in like 5 different formats, but so that's I got the most views of any of our podcasts on YouTube, and then probably the most listens as well. It's all relevant though. It's all still valid. And in fact, we had a couple more people in the last month even that hit the Tres Comas Club. Congrats. Second podcast in March that I thought was relevant and something you could potentially use as a reference again is the Recul recap podcast. I'm sure we had talked about, I'm really cut my hair short there, didn't I? We could talk about, and I'm not wearing the same thing, Seema. Just so you know. We talked about the event, how you started, what the achievements are, what some of the secrets are, how to go about it, and had fun with it there. All of that stuff is still relevant. Oh, look, we were even talking about Loken. So that might be another one that you might want to go back and check out. That might be useful. All right. Bring us into April, which is something I forgot about what we were doing in April.
Yeah, we started leveling scoundrels in April. Actually ended up leveling mine all the way to max level. Did you, Max?
I actually just started going back to it in MFNs, and I think it's up to like 72 or 73 now. So close.
Close, very close.
One more MFN,
We
and it'll
also
probably tick over.
that's when we had the mega version of the Amazing Race was also in April.
Yes, that is an incredible event. So just to stop there for a minute, this is an event that we, the original founder of the guild, Pell, who's still around and comes and hangs out with us. In fact, he'll be running some of the things going on at our AIE Con. Pell invented this as an in-game player event, and I'll even try to bring up some pictures of it. Called The Amazing Race. And if you remember the TV show The Amazing Race, it's basically based on that, except when we first did it in Star Wars The Old Republic, it was a multi-week event, and it was run as kind of like the Amazing Race was run. It's really hard to do an event that goes week to week to week. I think we ran it 4 weeks the very first time. We've condensed it down into a one-day event, but you get a clue. Everybody races to the point of the location, which is revealed by that clue, and maybe you get there because you thought it was the right place, or maybe you went somewhere different. But everybody gets there then, and there's a challenge. So usually there's, and those challenges could be anything. Maybe you have to do a PvP duel with an officer. Maybe you have to answer a trivia question. Maybe you have to ride the balloon on Tatooine, which was one of our challenges one time. And then you get another clue. So that same kind of roadblock, clue, race, that's Amazing Race. And we've replicated this in other games now. We run it from time to time in AIE. It is a super cool event, and I really like it. And so I like that we've kept it going. What else? What else do we do? Where are we?
April.
April.
There was another big thing in April,
What is that?
which was we first heard about the swoop race event coming.
Yes, that was when it was announced that was when they previewed it and announced it, and started the development. I don't think it was even on the PTS just yet. I think it went on the PTS
In May.
in May-ish. Yeah, and then it released in June. But a new event. One of the two new events that came out this year. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, we got Swoop Race, and later on in the year we got Feast of Prosperity.
Right.
Swoop bikes keep coming back. Solid, very solid event. I think into as events go, I still haven't. I don't think I'm at 100% on everything I've been wanting to do for swoop races, and I keep doing a little bit every time it comes by, and that's the kind of event I appreciate. I don't want to do an event, do it for 5 minutes, I'm at 100%, and then never do it again. So
I still have to do the one where you hit every bomb.
oh, you didn't do complete failure or whatever.
Yeah, right. I haven't
Complete
done that one yet.
disaster.
That's the one I haven't done yet.
Whatever the achievement is associated
Yeah.
with that. Yeah. So get in there. We probably did a podcast. I think we did a podcast previewing it at least. I don't think we really did a guides version of
And
that.
I sort of got into getting the achievements, and I never ever finished the story. So I still have that too to do. The last few
You had
bits
to
of the
get
story.
you had to finish the rep to finish the story. Well, get at least to the last tier of rep before it unlocked
Yeah.
the rest of the story too. And I haven't finished the story either. I haven't finished that last step. 6.1.1 released in April. Also, what was supposed to be part of 6.1.1 was, I think that was supposed to include Master Mode Duxon, and that got pushed off. So it was a little bit disappointing there. This again, the deep throes of the everything that was going on in earlier this year was shuffling a lot of things around for the BioWare team. All the voice acting was tossed up in the air. They couldn't get people in studios, so a lot of that stuff got pushed off. But again, we had a bunch of fun stuff going on. The one podcast that I pulled out of April that I think was pretty interesting was our leveling tips that we did on episode 333. So check that one out.
Leveling tips and getting ready for double XP and taking advantage of double XP.
Yes. Okay, I'm pausing for just a second because I think we've got less than 60 seconds to New Year's Eve on the East Coast.
I'm so close. I said we would be at July.
Tick, tick, tick. 34 seconds to go. We'll wait here until it counts down, and we'll get some get your fireworks ready, Seema?
Yes.
I have my fireworks on the 2 key. Chat room, are you guys all ready? 15 seconds. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Happy New Year! Just yell Happy New Year, so I'm not yelling by myself.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year. There we go. Fireworks.
2021.
2021. A year to remember. Because 2020 is not a year to remember. It's a year to forget. Happy New Year, East Coast. An imaginary time zone that's made up for whatever purposes I don't understand. The real New Year will be coming in about an hour, and we'll still be online with the chat room at that time. All right. May. So we did not get to June, but let's get us into May, Seema. Take us into May.
So as always, in May we had a little celebration for May the 4th, which included a droid a mini pet and an unlock sale. We had some posts from Mike Bradley on PvP, which is always good. I like his posts. That's when the Swoop Rally hit the PTS, so we played with it a little bit there, and we also played with some of the nightlife additions on the PTS as well that month.
Yeah. Yes, because they decided they were going to add, they were going to enhance. So that's another event that they sort of spiced up. So they added 2 new events and they took nightlife. Well, that was part of the problem that they had with not being able to do the content that they wanted to do that was on the roadmap because they couldn't do the voice acting, they couldn't get people in the studios. So they redirected, they added swoop races, which wasn't on the roadmap for 2020 necessarily. They added Feast of Prosperity and they spiced up nightlife because it's content that they could add. So I think that's fine.
I think adding stuff to events we already have is a great thing they should do.
They
Like,
should always.
yeah.
Yeah.
Bounty Contract Week
Yes.
would
Do
be a
some.
great
Yeah.
one to do.
Yes, please do something with Bounty Contract Week. I would love to spice that up, especially like if you could do something with like a Mandalorian tie-in. Yeah. Hint, hint. Nudge, nudge. Say no more. You know, got that old Fortnite rant. I don't know what episode that was, but you could rewind to that and hear me rant about how Fortnite gets more Mandalorian tie-ins than we ever will. Chat room, just start thinking now. Is the New Year's resolution more rants or less rants for Max? Start thinking about that. Write in on the comments on YouTube, everyone. More or less rants for 2021. Anyway, yes, I agree. We should do updates to the events as we go along. I think that's a really cool thing and it keeps them fresh. We've like to return to them regardless. So add a little bit like they did with Nightlife. I think that was perfect. You don't have to do a ton, but more than just like adding, another deco on the vendor, they added like the little flavor, the little quest that you could do, and you could get, and they added the new machine, and there was a little bit of weirdness with that machine that at the start, and then they had to fix it. They didn't realize that there would be like a line of people lined up to get to that machine, so that was fun, but that was cool. The guild stuff that happened. We're still in May. That May was when Melong started up Flashpoint Fridays. And then we did a podcast 338 in May that was about decorating strongholds, where to get good decorations, some tips and tricks for decorating your strongholds and why you might want to do that. Good resources out there. All right. Bring us into June, Seema.
So the important thing in June is I showed you guys what I do, how I do weekly heroics. And that's when we had the episode called What Seema Does in the Shadows, which, by the way, is named after a fabulous movie called What We Do in the Shadows, which turned into a fabulous streaming series, too, called What We Do in the Shadows. So,
yes, Taika Waititi.
Funny. Yes. Funny vampire stuff. Yeah. What should we talk about here?
In fact, just one more thing on that, just because it always reminds me. If you ever hear Taika Waititi talk, like in interviews and stuff, you can tell that What We Do in the Shadows was his passion and his magnum opus. Because I've seen him like do recent interviews, and he'd be like, "Yeah, I did Thor Ragnarok, but this movie, What We Did in the Shadows, that's where it's like he's like a big deal. He's done The Mandalorian. He did Thor Ragnarok. He's like gonna be, but like him being a
is a
goofy
big
vampire, and What We Do in the Shadows is he'll talk about that all day before he talks about anything else. I think that is just awesome. He is such a genuine guy. It is really cool.
I mean, I feel I should add it's don't necessarily show it to your kids before you view it.
It is not family friendly.
Yeah, not particularly. But actually, so other things that went on in June, that's when we actually did see the Swoop Rally come into the game, I think. And we saw the Nightlife, the updated version of the Nightlife in June as well.
Yes.
And that is also when we got the much maligned and lauded Galactic Guide.
Right. So I noticed this, and in May when it was on the PTS, they called it the Welcome Window, and then when it was released, it ended up being called the Galactic Guide. That's this thing. That's the the thing in the
That's
upper
this
left,
thing.
which, I've gotten used to it. I think it's fine. It's not bad to see what's up, what's going on. They added like the login rewards button to it, so that makes it a little more useful. The when it was like two things and one of them was the cartel market, it felt like an advertisement, but it's kind of not. It's always got the current content, the current event, the sale on the cartel market, which some people really want to know and is valuable knowledge, and then the login reward, subscriber reward, where your progress is on that, and you can pop into there and open it up. So it's fine. I don't really look at it though. Do you look at it? Do you use it?
I do.
Okay, well there you go.
I mean, I didn't like it at first, but now I appreciate because it allows me to not miss something special from the cartel market.
Right.
Like I don't buy a lot of stuff off the cartel market, which means I'm not looking at it very often. So I do appreciate that it's in my face this one little moment, then I close it. Like I don't use it for picking what quests I'm going to do or finding out which events are active because I usually already know that. But yeah, and then we'll talk about this when we get to it, but then I also use it for getting login rewards, which I like. I like clicking on them.
Yeah. Right. I think the login rewards are fine, and we'll get to that when we get to it in just a second.
Yeah.
So that, and then we also did episode 341 of the podcast was about CZ198. Definitely check that one out if you want tips and tricks for running through that. It's one of the best of the weeklies, the weekly zone area, daily mission areas. One of my favorite to go through just to get some quick experience, and if I ever wanted to run dailies for credits, which I don't because Trace Comas. Anyway, leveling up characters though, especially when you get to like level 70 and you want to push through to 75, or even anything over 50. Black Hole, Section X, CZ198. CZ198 is my favorite to do that in.
I like that, and I like to do black hole on my characters that can stealth because you can do that last. I think it's technically a 4-man, or did they make it a 2-man? But that last heroic, you can stealth past just everything almost to the last boss.
Right, and just throw the grenade. And
Just throw the grenade.
That's also what Seema does in the shadows. She stealths dailies, and we've done a couple podcasts where we've mentioned some of Seema's stealth tricks, which I thought I even tagged that here. That one of them happened this past year. There's some really good tips and tricks from Seema. Oh, that was it. What Seema does in the shadows. Yeah. We talked about it there. It was all Seema's stealth tricks on a lot of those dailies. So if you have a stealth character,
which are not, they're not unique to me. A lot of people do them, but that was just
Seema
us sharing
them all. No one has ever heard of this before. It's unique.
And at the time, it was you could do one, and you would get the conquest points for doing that planet. Now you have to do 2, but it's really not that big of a deal because some of them it's very easy to do a bonus in that same, and then it does count for 2, or you just prime it for some other stealth character or for the next day by doing it once and then you do it again the next day.
Hold on, I just ruined something.
What?
I just tried to ban somebody in chat and it didn't work.
Okay. Oh.
There's just a spammer. So we're in the big time now. We got spammers.
We got our very own spammer.
I'll just leave it there because look, they use like these weird characters, I guess. So you can't just have a bot that checks their. That's weird. Well, I'm not gonna buy followers. FL2DZPFRMW9. Anyway.
Well, while he does that, we can move on to July. July is when Eric came back and he was completely
He was a
changed.
man.
And then you'll be a man, my son. Um, that was also, yeah, the nightlife event was still going on. I think it was. Is it? Has it finished now? um,
Yeah, it
this
was.
okay. So the big thing in July, and which was kind of a surprise, was SWTOR launching on Steam.
Yes, which turned out to be much bigger than I had originally thought it would be.
I use Steam all the time now. It took me a while to get around to it, but now I do.
I don't. I still don't launch SWTOR on Steam. I've even had Steam up and running pretty constantly the last couple of weeks because of Cyberpunk, and now I closed Steam because I'm done with Cyberpunk for now, and I just never got. I've got a nice little layout of how I've got all my MMOs in my Windows start menu, and I just never wanted to bother to go to Steam for that and then go to another place for another thing. So I just didn't get into it. But I know a lot of people who have it and swear by it. So there's multiple people in the guild, especially anyone that has had some of the launch troubles. Steam was really useful for that. But the big deal, of course, was the visibility it gave to the game and the new people that have come back to the game and the people that now are seeing people playing it. And it was a much bigger deal for the game and the community than I had ever expected it would have been.
The big change for me in using Steam is that the default, and I haven't found how you change this yet, but the default keybind for taking a screenshot is the same keybind that I use for ElectroDart. So I have a ton of screenshots of me stunning things.
Ah,
I have so
well,
many screenshots now.
that's excellent. Well, then you'll be able to remember all of the things you've stunned and interrupted in the past.
Right.
A couple other things that happened in July. The PvP season 13 started. So if you're a PvPer, another thing that was part of the PvP updates this past year was also the replica sets that they finally sort of got in order and added to the whole system, so that as you accumulate ranked PvP, as you go down that path, you'll get whatever the currency is. Now I've sort of forgotten what it is, but you can get the currency even if you don't achieve the top level to get what you want out of this particular season. You can get enough currency to get some of those replica items from previous seasons.
Mm.
The Furious Gladiator weapon set. Someday, and that they may never come, I may PvP enough to get the Furious Gladiator weapon set. That's the one thing that I would love to get out of any of the PvP rewards ever. It was about season 4 of PvP, and we're now in season 13. The Furious Gladiator weapon sets are the weapons that are on fire. And not only are they on fire, but as you change the color crystal, the color of the fire changes. It's epic. It is epic. But I never ranked PvP'd enough because I think I tried it once and they made me cry myself to sleep. And they told me to go delete my character, so I did. And then never went back. 3 podcast episodes that we did in July that are possibly useful in the future. We did do a walkthrough of the swoop races in episode 344. We did an episode I really liked, which was 345, which is all about the Cartel Bazaar and all of the vendors that are down there on the fleet in the Cartel Bazaar, where you can get, I'm talking about these Furious Gladiator weapons. You can get a whole bunch of like older Cartel weapons and
Yeah. It was kind of an
Cartel pack.
eye-opener how much stuff you can actually buy down there.
There's like 10 vendors down there with rare stuff that you can still go and get, and you can collect the certificates to get it in game. Like Darth Nihilus's mask. I mean, just like really cool stuff. So check that out. And then this was the first in a 2-part series. Episode 347 was returning players, top 10 tips. We had a lot of players because of Steam that were coming back to the game. We did an episode all about players returning to the game. Here's top 10 tips that we would recommend that you check out. Which, because we've even had more, I mean, that's continued through the end of the year. I forgot we did that episode until I just looked back now. We should post that in chat to anyone that joins, because we have people joining every week that are in that state.
Yep.
All right. Bring us into August, Seema. Second half of the year, downhill from here.
Yes.
Here we go.
Yeah. Okay. So August is when we have our yearly event we call Summer of Love. That is across all our game divisions in AIE. So we had events throughout the week in various different games. Yeah. So like one night it would be in Lotro, one night it would be in SWTOR, one night it would be in WoW, one night it would be in ESO, Guild Wars 2. And it's also it's a time where then we have a special night where we all just get together in Discord, and it's pretty memorable. Yeah, I don't want to necessarily go into it because we'll do it again in August this coming year, so look for that.
Yeah, this is the pictures of it. I've got it up on the screen. Our Remembrance Day, and we remember people that are no longer with us in real life. Yeah, and it's something we do every year. This is some pictures of it. But the rest of the whole week, that is a fun week. That is, I think we probably had 3 Star Wars events. We had sort of the big game night. This is the in-game game stuff for the week across every division that we have, and some extra fun stuff on the side. It is a really fun week for us in AIE, and it happens every year in the summer, around either the week before or the week after, the week encompassing August 2nd, because August 2nd is this Remembrance event, and that is a special day. And that's what we base the week around. So whatever week encompasses, whatever, Friday to Sunday encompasses August 2nd, that's when it'll be. So we'll do it again this year. Yeah, as you said. So it's cool. So yeah, that was, here's a good one. B. Kavanaugh, BC, awesome guildie of ours. He has, and you can find this on Reddit, you can find it a couple other places, he has a Conquest Calculator, and he did an update. So he's done this when Conquest started. He got all the data for Conquest, all of the schedule, and then set it up so you could put your characters in, how many characters you wanted to get to Conquest target, and he had what all of the targets were, what points you would achieve by getting each of them, and you could plan out your week. He's updated that multiple times. You can certainly find that in our guild Discord. It's pinned, and you can find it on Reddit and on Twitter. I'd highly recommend checking out that Guild Conquest Calculator. He updated it in August, and I think he even updated it again towards the end of the year. So that's a cool thing. Oh, what was episode 349? Do you remember that, Seema?
Yes, that was when Daniel Steed came on the show, and we had another. Well, I know this has never happened to us before, but we had our show ran long.
It ran long. Can you believe that?
Yes.
Our 48-minute show. I think that was our original intent. It was 38 to 48 minutes. I don't know why 38 and 48, but I don't think we've ever done a show that was shorter than 48 minutes. But yeah, Dan was on the show, and that was our longest show of the year, definitely. And it was really fun and great. If you want to hear Daniel Steed and where he came from, where he has gone to, check out that episode. He's great. He's done it. He's been a great addition to the team. I'm really glad to have him around. He still continues to do a ton of work every month with the content creators, even if you don't see it. And he's done a lot of the really cool, the stuff that you see on the website. And he talks about it a little bit in that episode, that podcast 349. When you see hey, here's what's coming in this cartel pack, and here's here's the new rewards from this event. and you see the smuggler with the weapon out, or the mercenary with the new blaster. He stages it. He's got special tools. He stages it. He sets it up. He puts it in place. And he's moved on from that too. And he did one of the cinematics, the preview cinematics, using the in-game footage and in-game tools for the Echoes of Vengeance. And that was the Echoes of Vengeance trailer that they showed at the live stream when they were announcing that, which is really cool. So great work, Daniel.
Another good show we had that month was Thon showing off his mastery of disguise.
Yes. What was that? 350. I gotta bring some of that up. That was so. There's a ton of great resources out there in the world for getting good costumes and things like that. We have a master, like a costume contest master in the guild, a guildie named Thon, who's an awesome guildie friend of ours. What we did in episode 350 is we showed off and let Thon oh, look at that. There's his spider Thon. Oh, this is just amazing. So he's done like a bunch of the Marvel characters. The problem is he can't just do any character. He's got to be able to put Thon into the name.
Yes, that he has imposed that on himself.
Look at this. Look at this spider Thon. And wait, I gotta show him with the he paid for. He's up to 10 billion credits in the game, but he paid for a carry through master mode Brontes, so he could get the Wings of the Architect mount, so that he could he could turn it into the version of the Spider-Man with the sort of the Doc Ock, the mech suit that Spider-Man got. I lost it though. Where it doesn't, I didn't turn it on. But this is just one of the many. So you can go through here. I've got some of his older ones in here. Boy, YouTube's being a little bit slow. He's done a bunch of the Marvel characters there. Oh, look at that. Look at his Ahsoka. His Ahsoka is super good. Here's his Wonder Woman. Here's his Iron Man. His work is just amazing. And he talks about where he gets the costume pieces, how he gets the ideas, how he puts them together. It's stuff you would not believe. Oh, he's got a really good Borg, Locutus of Borg, with the Iocath droid mount, the pets and companion, just to round out the look. There's a Boba Fett with the coloring and everything. He dyes things specifically. So very cool episode. Really cool guildie of ours. Definitely check that one out too. Yeah, you're right.
You know, when people get like an activity within a game, you kind of call it a mini game, but in this case, it's like a maxi game. I mean, he really goes to, the max to get these.
Yeah, some of these costumes that
together.
he put together. Well, he paid, like I think at least tens of millions to put some of these at least multiple of these costumes together.
Yeah.
His Thor one was just amazing also. And he had to roll the class specifically to make it work. He had to level it up. Then he had to get the companion and dress the companion specifically so it looked like Loki, and just extreme amounts of effort. And he just is just amazing with it. All right, take us into September, Seema. Oh, here Comcast kicked me off of Star Wars.
So the big thing in September was the change to relics, and it affected the Rakghoul relic.
Right. Oh, this was a travesty. I see. I put it in the notes here. A travesty. Yeah, it's whatever. It's fine. But so the change was, if you unequip the relic, whatever effect that the relic put on you goes away with it, which you would expect. That's kind of how it should work.
Yeah.
You should be able to like put the effect on yourself and then swap the relic out. However, for the Rakghoul event, you used to be able to use the relic as basically like a vaccine injection give
Right.
yourself the vaccine and then unequip the relic and put your regular relic back on, because you might be fighting something like the Rekul Tunnel Lurker, which might take some effort to kill. Now, if you unequip the relic, which is a low level relic and doesn't really do anything for you, so it's not like you need that much. It's not going to give you that much, but we can't do that anymore. You got to keep it equipped if you want the vaccine effect, or just buy a stack of vaccines and inject yourself with the vaccine. The only place that's a little bit of a pain is with the world boss, because you need to keep reapplying the vaccine throughout the fight. So either you need to get a stack of 10 or so vaccines and keep reapplying them, or just keep the relic on. So just keep
It's
it on.
just BioWare supporting big vaccine.
Big big pharma, good job. We're under their thumb. But get vaccinated. So there you go. Oh, well, here's another change that some people would say it was a travesty. They changed the way guard works for classes that have a tank spec but are spec'd DPS at the time. When you put guard on someone else, it drops your DPS. So that is a change, because especially focused on PvP. There was just too much of a benefit to assassins and juggernauts if they're in a DPS spec, but also able to do damage mitigation on for their team, as well as doing very high DPS potentially. It just wasn't really balanced. So it was fine. I think there was a little bit of friction around it when it came out, but I don't think it went too far. And I think people have sort of rolled with it relatively well. What else? Well, so what went on the PTS in September, Seema?
That's when we got the first look at the Feast of Prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
And all those mini games.
So
and
update to
dailies.
Nightlife, addition of the Swoop Rally, and then Feast of Prosperity, which was I wouldn't say it was as big as Swoop Rally, but a nice little event, bigger than Life Day, with a story and a multi-week event. I kind of like Feast of Prosperity. I think you were always skeptical of.
I knew you were going to bring that up. I am still skeptical.
No, there's the good one and the bad one. It's good cop, bad cop. Gaburga and Skamarga, or wherever the two huts were. There's the good one, and he's really good.
You just made my point for me, because the whole thing about good cop, bad cop is they aren't.
They're both bad.
That.
Okay, no, so not an act. He's actually good. He's the good one. Yeah. So Feast of Prosperity went up on PTS. And I think then we ended up getting it in October. So that was September. And also in September is when we started our achievement group. So we have now on Friday night, every Friday, there's another Star Wars event. So every Tuesday is our mandatory fun night. That's our big open guild fun night. Sometimes it's a 16-man operation if we only have 16 people, or somebody is the hero and sort of sits on the sidelines while we go through a quick operation. A lot of times we do world bosses or achievements or datacrons. That's all the Tuesday night stuff. Now, every week on Friday night, it rotates between two events. The second of those events started in September, and that's the achievement group. So you're either doing Master Mode Flashpoints on a Friday night with Mal, or you're doing you're with the achievement team on Friday nights, going through a bunch of the harder to get achievements that it's nice to have a group to do. So those all of so wait, who's doing the Friday night achievement team?
That is Kahehu and
Keohu.
BC.
Yes.
Keohu. Yes, that.
Yes.
Why can I not say his name? I've always had that difficulty.
Yes. So thank you. That is correct. Look, we got a little party going on here. There's Cybercat Dan walking around on Meksha. Come to Meksha if you want to get in here with us, partying with the Wookiees. So yes, achievement nights on every other Friday, and they'll go through So the kind of the example of the harder to get achievement is like the PvP achievements on planets, and they'll split the group in two, and they'll get half on the Imperial, half on the Republic, and they'll go to town shooting each other for the night, so that everybody gets the kill achievements on different planets, which is really kind of cool. And related to that, because we had that group starting up, we had a podcast, episode 354, all the achievements. He wasn't live on the podcast, but all of his notes, Zen, who's in the chat room now, our officer from Australia, couldn't be on because it was his daytime, and when we do our podcast, he was at work.
I know, and he had to be at work.
But we have a huge list of notes that we were able to put together for that Zen gave us. He is a master of achievements for our guild. If you have any questions, feel free to jump in Discord and ask Zen in particular. I think that would get you covered. But you can also check out that episode 354 of the podcast. All right, October, final quarter of the year. Q4 calendar year 2020. Seema, what do we got in October? I don't know what voice I'm doing.
So October is when Star Wars Squadrons launched.
Yes.
And then we got a mini pet in game that was inspired by that game.
So for the month of October here, I'll see if this can go on over my headphones. Can I still hear you talk?
Yes,
I
I'm
can hear you.
talking. Can you hear me? Okay.
So
Yes, I can hear me too.
This happened in October in two ways. One is Star Wars Squadrons was launched, which was really fun. I played it a bunch. I didn't play it, again, mostly single player. Although there is multiplayer as well, but it wasn't great at launch. I think it's much better now. I played it a fair amount. It's a game where I need to like set up the stick and throttle, and I don't pull it out all that often, but really well done if you do want to feel like you're flying an X-Wing or a TIE fighter. Really cool. Also in October, I was a rebel pilot for Halloween, which was still all online, but I did it for work, and for the podcast. I had the I probably I don't have it here. Maybe I do. No, not that one. I don't have the right background, but I had the trench shot of the background that I did for my work event and for the podcast that one night in October for Halloween. So there you go. And I'm going to take this off, and you can tell us what else happened in Halloween there, or in October there, Seema.
Yes. So also, yeah, I mean, Squadrons did launch, but actually, this is also the month where Feast of Prosperity went live.
Oh, great.
And we also did a podcast that week on the HK51 companion, which is a quest chain. So that's another podcast where, if you wanted to sort of walk through that quest chain, you can listen to that. That's 356. And that month we also had, for Mega, we had a costume party.
Yes. Well, as you do in October.
Yeah.
But that, yeah, the Feast of Prosperity going live, that was pretty cool. That sort of gave us a bunch of stuff to do. The HK51, we did that as a mega. Was it mega or just MFNs? I think it was MFNs. So it was 2 Tuesday nights, separated by, because we switch every Tuesday between factions. One week it's Imperial, one week it's Republic. So we did it, I think so over the course of 3 weeks, because we skipped a week in between, so we could do it all on our Republic characters or something. But we were doing it in game on our Tuesday night thing, so that we also did a podcast. So that episode 356, if you want to hear the tips and tricks for going through that quest chain for HK51, I definitely recommend like looking at a guide or listening to our podcast or doing something. Some parts of it are difficult to do. Not super hard, but especially when you're searching for the parts, we could look at one of the guides, or go on SWTOR or something you'll find some of the details on how to get through that. All right, rolling into November, we started the year at the tail end of Mandalorian season 1, had just finished up. So rolling into November, we decided with the start of Mandalorian season 2, we would finally do a whole podcast episode on spoiling and our review of Mandalorian season 1 and like a recap, and get us sort of in the spirit for season 2. So that happened to kick off November. And then also the Mandalorian season 2 kicked off actually on October 30th, but that was sort of in full swing by the beginning of November there, which has been amazing. So we won't do our spoiler
yeah.
rant. No rant on that. I'm not going to rant about that. Yeah.
I will.
Yeah.
No spoilers on season 2, but I will say that I'm oftentimes don't enjoy season 2 of a show if I really, really enjoyed season 1.
Right.
And this was not the case with The Mandalorian. I enjoyed season 2 every bit as much, maybe more than season 1. So recommend.
Yeah. It really was good. It really was good. And the fan service parts of it, I think were done the super right way to do it. Whereas, and here's a content rant that I've had before. I'm not a fan of let's bring back let's get Harrison Ford and what they're making another Indiana Jones movie and Harrison Ford's going to be in it. I'm done. Harrison Ford was great. Those were great. I didn't need Lando and Harrison Ford and in the new movies and doing the same things that they did, 20 years ago. Oh, he's gonna say, "Woohoo!" Oh, look, he said the thing. That's not the kind of fan service that I like. What I like is what we saw in Mandalorian season 2, where there's things pulled in from the extended universe. There's things pulled in from the animated series, and they're their own thing. And they're done so well, and they fit, and they're only brought in if they fit, and they are not a repeat or a fan service or here's something that you saw in one of the original movies and we're just going to copy it and put it in here too. It's going to be the same old thing. It's just done really well, and they pulled in a few of those and did them about as well as you could do it, and it got over any of the hesitance that I would have had in including those elements. As I know it's sort of really weird to talk about it without being able to go into any spoilers, but when we do a spoiler show eventually on Mandalorian season 2, or if you watch Mandalorian season 2, you know what I'm talking about. They did them really well, multiple of them. So there you go. If you know what I mean, Seema, nudge, nudge. Say no more.
Stop saying that, Max.
It's not a euphemism. Then here's a change that they did in November, a bug fix. We stopped getting killed due to guild ship summons. I was quite disappointed that got fixed. Me
too.
Kind of wish that anytime I can kill my friends, I kind of like that.
Why did they fix that?
I don't know. 6.2 also went on PTS, and 6.2 is what now we're sort of catching up to current state. 6.2 on the PTS is where we got the preview of Spirit of Vengeance. We got the preview of the login windows and the preview of the emote window. Those previews of everything for PTS were good. I was happy with that. And then, now we're rolling into December, when 6.2 went live, that's when my mind got blown just a little bit, because we didn't see the content, the story part of 6.2, Echoes of Oblivion, and I think that was the highlight of December. We already did our sort of wrap-up show on that. I think that was a nice coda to the whole. I mean, this is many, many years now of content back from the KOTOR days and the storyline of the Emperor and everything all the way through that to bring us through Echoes of Oblivion, 6.2. and the final curse, the final coda, and the final act, or sort of like almost a farewell sequence to a bunch of characters. So I don't think we're going to see any of those characters, well, who knows, but many of the characters. So, so Revan and
Oh, I think we're going to see Valen again.
yeah, you did say that. Multiple people have sort of speculated as far as that goes. So, I wouldn't say all of those characters, but
Yes, I know, but I know what you mean. It's like
the Emperor,
yeah,
I think, is done. I think Revan's story is done.
yeah,
And
yes,
what's her name? The Revan's special friend.
yes.
I forgot her name. I think her story is done. Multiples of those stories, I think, are just done. And it was nice to sort of get a last, almost a farewell to those characters and a coda on that whole era. And now I think we're going to go forward. Now, but as you said, Valen, I think, is fair game. We still have Senya. Well, some people. Here's this stupid Schrodinger's universe problem. We still have some of the Valkorian family, not Valkorian, but the Valkorian family is still hanging around for some people, and for some people it's not. So I don't know how much we can do, but I guess Valen's dead for everybody. So that would be a prime candidate.
Or is she?
A prime candidate to bring back, because you could bring it back for everybody and it wouldn't be weird.
Yes. No, I know what you meant. I know what
Yeah.
you meant. But she may already have been brought back.
Maybe.
One thing I want to say too is, like, in November we went and played around on the Spirit of Vengeance on the PTS, and that was then when we saw it in game, it was really a completely different experience, because when we were on the PTS roaming around, like you said, we didn't have the cutscenes, and it was all about, like, oh, this mobs and these bosses, and look, we're on a ship, and now we're on another ship, and these are cool ships, and ooh, Mandalorians are cool and everything. But the cutscenes for that, especially the final cutscene after you kill the boss, are exceptional, I thought.
Yeah. There's a lot more there. And I mean, there was just, and they never put that stuff on the PTS because they don't want to
No.
spoil the story stuff.
But I forget how much difference it makes, especially since,
Yeah.
when we run flashpoints as part of your day, right? We just space bar through all that stuff. So I forget how much story can really be told in a flashpoint.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think, so with that, I think 6.2 was done really well and brought some, it again, it took them a while to get that content out like they would have, that like they wanted to, because of everything that was going on this year. But when they did, I think it came out great. So I'm glad that they did it. And then also, don't forget, in December we got another new member of the team. So Natha was added to the team this past year, and Jackie was added to the community team.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 new people were added to the community team, which is great. So Jackie is now on board. I think Jackie's going to be a 2021 force to be reckoned with as we move forward. It was great to have her join in December, but that's going to be more of a 2021 thing for us. She's already making a mark. And then that drove us through sort of what gets us up to the present. here's this droid from the swoop races. But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Life Day, 9th anniversary, and gets us on track into 2021, which is going to 2021 is going to end with the 10th anniversary. And as you know, they've been hyping it up. It's going to be a thing. Keith is super excited, and they've been, by the time it gets here, they'll have been working on it for 18 months. I'm not going to say that my expectations are high, but they're high.
They're Grogu high.
They're high. So that is 2020. And of course, this took us an hour and a half to go through. Much longer than I had expected, of course. So, anything else to wrap us up for 2020 before we jump off into 2021 here, which will be hitting Central Time Zone in about 15 minutes. We're gonna go live to our Open Guild Discord in the post show. But what do you got for us, Seema? You happy with 2020 in Star Wars?
Yeah. Yeah, especially with Echoes of Oblivion. I was really surprised by that. And like I'm not a huge story people like some people are, but I really enjoyed Echoes of Oblivion. It was a great
Yes.
way to sort of cap off the year.
Yes, especially with all the friction they had, the problems in getting stuff done as you would expect anyone would have had this year. Having the few events come out, having some good content come out, the early story beat, Echoes of Oblivion. It's probably not as much as everybody would have wanted. We always want more, but yeah, I think it worked out well, and I think there's been good updates to the game, and I'm happy with it too. All right, I think with that, we're going to close out our 8th annual retrospective show, episode 365. We're ready to kick a 365th astromech out an airlock to broadcast this podcast to all of you. If you would like to follow our podcast, check us out on Twitter at Max the Gray. We're also on YouTube /New Overlords, newoverlords.com. You can find us on all those places. If you'd like to find our guild Discord, which we'll be using shortly for the post show, it's at aie-guild.org. And you can jump in there. You can jump into our SWTOR channel. We have a guild on the Imperial and Republic sides of Starforge. You can come find us, ask us for a guild invite, and we can get you in at any time. We would love to have you. And with that, thank you for 2020 chat room community, all of you guys out there. You've been awesome, and we will talk to you soon.
Hugs and love to everyone. Stay safe. See you in 2021. Later, everyone.